Hey YouTube family, it's your girl Jazzy, getting jazzy with jazz. And if y'all want to have a good time, YouTube family, just like I do, come on over. And I need y'all to go ahead and do this for me, like, comment, and subscribe. And then we're going to get the party started. Hey YouTube family, I am here, better late than never. Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 16. Good old chicken and finger licking waffles. So Shamia is taking, Shamia is talking about being greased up in Grenada, and then she said she came back with strep throat. And then it was a producer or somebody in the confessional. They were saying, well, what does greased up mean? What is it to be greased up? And she was just saying that my mom always told me growing up that you always had to be greased up and all that stuff. I said, oh. And then she said that she got strep throat when she came back from Grenada. And then I was like, oh no, how about her baby Shaya and Shiloh? And Shiloh was just so young. She's just 19 months old. And then she's singing her mom's song. And I said, oh. And then she says that, like she's always said that she just wants to be able to give her husband a son. And then it panned back over to, well, let me just stop. She didn't have strep throat. Shiloh didn't have strep throat. It was negative. And then her husband, he was on video, and then he got the news as well. And then it panned over to a happy time, and Phaedra and her beautiful kids, Aiden and Dylan. And Aiden, he wants to be a politician like his mom. And Dylan, he is sewing for his wide leg cargos, and it's just a sample. And he just want to just sew his clothes and all that. And then she says that her and Apollo have a good relationship, and I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And then I'm finna turn back around and say, oh, y'all do, girl. That ain't what the media's saying. That ain't what the media's saying, girl. But I'm gonna let you have it. And then it panned over to Kelly, and she's going to her final court date. And cameras are not allowed in no courtrooms, of course. And she's trying to get this divorce. And then she stated that she went past the time of 12 p.m. So when she came out, they didn't grant the divorce for her. And she said that she just is irritated because she has to start the whole process over again. And Shamia comes over, and Angela checks on her by calling. Then they were just both trying to comfort her, and they were just telling her that they're there for her and she has nothing to worry about. And then it went to messy. Then Kelly fills her in about the drama with Britt Edie, whoever you want to call her, and not being there for her during her divorce hearing. And then Britt just pretty much said that she was mad at her and she was not going to be there for her divorce hearing. And I'm like, that's very, very childish. If y'all was friends like that, then you should have been there for your friend. I said, And Cynthia, she receives an email at her door, and Angela and Drew to Kelly's event through Williams-Sonoma. And I said, oh, that's so neat. And I got a story about that. I used to work for Williams-Sonoma years ago. And it was a cool little call center job or whatever. I didn't like it like that. But hey, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. It pays the same amount of money that I make now, $15. And I said, And Charles, it pans over to the cooking event. And then Charles says that when it comes to cooking, he knows what he doing in the kitchen. And he pretty much was just up for the challenge. And he just was like, what you got? What you got, Britt? What you got for this challenge? And then he shares chicken and waffles with Drew. And then there was a man, because you me just tell you, everybody was there. But Drew wasn't allowed to come in because she was late. And then they let Drew come in. I said, oh, Lord. And then they shared chicken and waffles with Drew. And Faye said he is taking, so Drew, she got there late. You know, Drew always late. So she just was not granted entrance into the event. And she had to stand outside. And she had to just have a conversation with the folks that's outside and all that. And I said, the security guard bought her a plate of chicken for the waffles and stuff. I said, she just needed to sing. And I said, that's just terrible. And then it panned back into the inside. And then they all get to taste the chicken and waffles. And then they determine that it's good. And Phaedra said that, it is taking her all the way back to her roots. And then Kelly said that it was good. It was good. It was good. It was good. And everybody pretty much said that it was good. And, Angela, she said, she had to run for her husband and all that stuff until say her husband's food is good and this and this and that. I'm like, okay, Charles. She said, Charles. I'm like, Charles. Charles. He say he know what he doing. And then Angela agrees that it is a tie because Charles said, oh, no. Loud and stuff. And then she agrees that it's a tie. So Angela agrees that it's a tie between Kelly and Charles. And so the man was saying that Charles was cheating on Angela and all this stuff. He got put out because ain't nobody tolerating no disrespect. And then everybody, they agreed that everything was good and this and this and this. And Faye, Phaedra, you couldn't beat Phaedra running to her car. And that, running to her car. And she said that Charles is cheating on Angela. And then they all said, ooh, did Charles hear? And she said that he was just over there just a cooking and ignoring. Charles heard them. But he's not being problematic anymore. So he gonna act like he ain't hear it all day long. And then Portia tells Phaedra that her cousin, Lundy, has passed away. And she says that she will keep her in her prayers. And then it pans over to Phaedra's event. And the Ivy showroom, everyone shows up looking nice. Kelly, Angela, Cynthia, Faye. And Kelly sips away while Britt says, hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. I promise you she said it more than twice. But they did twice before it went to commercial. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. And then it went to commercial, came back. Hi, Kelly. I said, don't say hi to her no more because she is not going to speak to you. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. I said, oh, Lord. Hi, Kelly. Hey, Kelly. Kelly. And I said, Kelly, speak to her. I promise y'all, I rewound that about 3 times. And I'm like, did she keep saying, hi, Kelly? I said, anyway. Then Britt starts to just look like WTF in a nice way. She said, oh. I said, hey, she doesn't want to talk since she doesn't want to say. Then the man came up in there and he's sitting up there being disrespectful. And he said that it's something about her husband and her husband is cheating on her. Then he got booted out the event because of security incident. Saying, we ain't having none of that over here. We ain't having none of that over here. Hells no. And Kelly says she does not. And that when she was talking about you being on those pictures and all that, then you felt some kind of way. And then they just arguing back and forth. She didn't call. She didn't call Kelly. She didn't call Kelly a hobbit. Then she done said that she done had 2 abortions when she was married to her husband. And then she said that she was addicted. She was addicted to pills. Kelly fired back and said, well, at least I wasn't addicted to pills and this and this and that. I said, oh, my goodness. And then Drew still outside eating because she was late to the party. And the officer, of course, gave her some food. And then she was just out there having a conversation, I guess trying to make herself feel good because she was out there. She was out there. And then she eventually was able to come back in that party. Anyway, they having a good time and everybody looks good at the party. And then Kelly and Britt then got into it. And then I said, oh, Lord, have mercy. They got to arguing. Then she threw up and she said, well, what about your 2 abortions? Don't forget about them abortions that you had while you was married to your husband. And then Kelly said, get out, F you, I F you up. And then she said, I F you up. You look, and then Britt, she called her a hobbit. I said, oh, wow, a hobbit. And then when she said that about them abortions, Washamia, she said, ooh, that was low of her. And she didn't like it. And she said when it was the situation with you and Kenya, and then she was talking about. And YouTube, that was the video. And what I want y'all to do is like, comment, and subscribe. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, YouTube family.